Xbox just had a major shakeup with its leadership, and there's a lot to go over, so let's talk about it. Hello there everybody, and welcome to The Comfy Spot. My name is Tyler, and today we are going to be talking about the major news that broke this past Friday, that Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond are going to be leaving Xbox, effective basically now, effective immediately. There is a whole lot to talk about, so I'm not going to do too much of an intro here. Real quick initial thoughts though were that, number one, this is absolutely wild. I did not expect to see this news at all on Friday. Did not expect it at this current point in time specifically. I expected to hear like these sorts of developments of Phil Spencer leaving, maybe later this year after the 25th anniversary, maybe next year or after the new console came out, but not right now. Definitely did not expect Sarah Bond to be leaving instead of taking over Phil Spencer's role when he eventually left. That was also very, very shocking to me. And I have thoughts, I have other concerns and everything regarding the future of Xbox in light of this, but we will talk about that at the end of this video because there is so much information to discuss and go over here. So without further ado, we're going to get right on into it. This news broke by way of IGN, so shout out to IGN for this breaking news, that this exclusive news that they broke on Friday. So, number one, Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer is retiring effective February 23rd, 2026. He will stay on in an advisory role through the summer to ensure a smooth transition. Xbox President Sarah Bond has resigned from the company. Asha Sharma is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming. Before this position, she was the president of Microsoft's Core AI product. And just for an additional bit of a history or background on Asha Sharma, before joining Microsoft in 2024, she was the VP of Product and Engineering at Meta and also the COO at Instacart. And then the last person from the leadership change that's going on here, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty. He is now being promoted to Chief Content Officer, and he will be working closely with Asha Sharma. Now, all of these people here, in addition to, top dog at Microsoft, Satya Nadella, they all put out statements about this giant leadership change and shakeup. I will put some of them on the screen at different points during this video. I will not be reading their statements in full because their statements are very long. Miss Sharma's is the one I will probably read the most from when we get to that section of the video. But other than that, I'll be talking about select quotes and statements from their select quotes and parts from their statements, rather. Starting off right here with Matt Booty, going along with his new position here, his letter and all the statements really about that whole positivity, optimism for the future and stuff. But one thing that I did want to pull out from his statement about his role specifically at Xbox now in this new position of Chief Content Officer, he says, quote, "My focus is on supporting the teams and leaders we have in place and creating the conditions for them to do their best work. To be clear, there are no organizational changes underway for our studios," end quote. So it's good to know that as of right now, there are no changes at the studios, there are no closures, no layoffs as of this point in time. We'll see what happens in the future, but basically Matt Booty is going to be continuing to do what he has been doing, at Xbox so far, being trying to manage the studios the best he can and make it so that they are being able to do their best work. How well he's been doing that, you can decide that for yourself. But he's going to continue doing that directly under Asha Sharma in this new leadership change that we have here. Now, apparently this change has actually been in the works since last fall, according to Phil Spencer, because that is when he first spoke with Satya Nadella about his plans to retire. And I could buy that. It makes sense as well. And Spencer's just retirement in general makes sense because there has been speculation and rumors for a while now that Phil Spencer could be retiring soon. Again, be that 2026, be that 2027, maybe shortly after the next console released, he could, do his bow out and just head on out into the sunset from the games industry. So Him retiring, not too surprising on its own, but just it's the timing with when it's happening that is surprising. It's like, why now? Why not closer? Why not again? Why not maybe near the end of the anniversary year? Why not, shortly before the new console's about to launch, where it's like, all right, things are all in place for this to launch. I can bow out. The other person can launch the console. Basically, walk the other console into the into the house, out into the public. Basically, I laid the groundwork for it. They just gotta walk it out the door. I can leave. Like, it's just interesting the timing on this specifically for his departure here. Now, Phil Spencer, as we all know, many people hold him in high regard, and that is understandable because Phil Spencer has done a lot of good during his time at Xbox, specifically his time in terms of being in the leadership at Xbox. We all know that he saved the Xbox brand essentially from the dire Don Matrick days at the start of the Xbox One generation. He pushed for the backward compatibility program that really helped define the beginning of the Xbox Series X generation, but also helped flesh out the Xbox One generation by having Xbox 360 and original Xbox games playable on the Xbox One. Of course, we all know he launched Xbox Game Pass. He pushed Xbox Play Anywhere, which that was already a thing, but really, helped push it and build it up more into what it is now and have that be really a central pillar of the future of Xbox going forward. And then he also grew Xbox Studios with a number of acquisitions, and this dating all the way back to 2018, where we got Playground Games, Double Fine, Obsidian, and Exile, all acquired by Xbox here. The other studios were announced there too. I just can't remember them all off the top of my head. Compulsion Games was another one at that time. And then we know in 2021, Xbox acquired ZeniMax, which brought in Bethesda and all their different studios. And then the big one acquired Activision Blizzard in 2022. The acquisition was completed in 2023. So Spencer has done a lot of like huge industry-defining, career-defining things for the Xbox brand. Some of those things you might have mixed feelings on. Some of them have resulted in somewhat negative results. The Activision Blizzard thing definitely has had some negative results downstream, but you can't deny that they are huge and like major tentpole things for the Xbox brand. Now, of course, along with the good, Spencer has also been involved in some bad or mixed things, depending on how you want to look at them. Of course, we have the closure of multiple studios, including Tango Gameworks and Arcane Austin, who is the developer behind Redfall. That is not the Arcane that is still around right now that made Deathloop and is working on the Marvel's Blade game. Also, the closure of The Initiative, which resulted in the cancellation of Perfect Dark. There was also Everwild that was canceled, Contraband was canceled, bunch of those things on top of other layoffs as well. And then Xbox first-party games going multi-platform, which I personally think is a good thing for the brand specifically, because of just the state that they're in. It makes sense they would do that, and it's a sign of where the industry is going. I've talked about that in the past before in prior videos, talking about the future of first-party exclusives for PlayStation and Xbox. So I don't think that's a bad thing, but I know that there are people online who really, people in the diehard Xbox fan community who have mixed thoughts on Xbox having its first party titles go multi-platform. Now I want to jump over to Sarah Bond really quickly and just kind of pull out a quote, or a paragraph I guess rather, from her statement that she put out about her departure. In this section here, she's specifically speaking about the future of the games industry and Xbox and what this kind of means for her as well. So she says, quote, "We're living through a transformative technological era that will shape the next generation of our industry, and I'm energized by what's ahead. This moment also presents a unique opportunity for fresh eyes and new leadership to guide the team into its next chapter. I've had the privilege of spending time with Asha over the last few weeks as we've planned for this transition, and I've seen firsthand her deep commitment to our players, developers, and brand. She brings deep technology and commerce experience, along with a strong track record of building and scaling platforms that the world uses. Xbox deserves this. I'm excited to see her lead this next chapter for our team. I'll remain on as a special advisor to Asha to help ensure a smooth transition and set the organization up for continued success, end quote. So again, Sarah Bond over here putting in some good words for Asha Sharma, as everyone else did as well. But what she says here about how we're living through a transformative technological era that's going to shape the next generation of our industry, it's very true. It is very, very true. Some of what she says here is kind of like points that I feel myself that I will discuss later on at the end of this video. But now I want to shift the focus of the conversation to the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, Miss Asha Sharma. So her statement, like I said, is probably the lengthiest of them all, and I'm not reading it in full because these are all long statements. The link I have to the IGN article with the exclusive for all this is in the description below. And that article has the full transcripts of their statements, so you can read them in full there if you would like to. But I am going to be reading quite a bit from hers because I want everyone to have the full context of what she is saying and what she's talking about here. So something that she says here, she says that she feels, quote, humility and urgency stepping into this role here at Xbox. She says that, quote, she's feeling, quote, humility because this team has built something extraordinary over decades. Urgency because gaming is in a period of rapid change and we need to move with clarity and conviction. I'm stepping into work shaped by generations of artists, engineers, designers, writers, musicians, operators, and more who create worlds that have brought joy and deep personal meaning to hundreds of millions of players. The level of craft here is exceptional. It is amplified by Xbox, which was founded in the belief that the power of games connect people and push the industry forward, end quote. Going on from that, further on in her statement, she says that her first job is to, quote, understand what makes this work and protect it, end quote, starting with 3 commitments. The 3 commitments being great games, the return of Xbox, and the future of play. So we're going to start by talking about the games section here that she's talking about, that part of the commitment. Again, I'm going to be reading direct quotes here, so just stick with me, all right, and we'll have a full conversation afterwards. So, as it pertains to the games, she says, quote, everything begins here. We must have great games beloved by players before we do anything. Unforgettable characters, stories that make us feel, innovative gameplay, and creative excellence. We will empower our studios, invest in iconic franchises, and back bold new ideas. We will take risks. We will enter new categories and markets where we can add real value, grounded in what players care about most. I promoted Matt Booty in honor of this commitment. He understands the craft and the challenges of building great games, has led teams that deliver award-winning work, and has earned the trust of game developers across the industry, end quote. As it goes to the second topic, the return of Xbox, that second commitment, she says, quote, we will recommit to our core Xbox fans and players, those who have invested with us for the past 25 years, and to the developers who build the expansive universes and experiences that are embraced by players across the world. We will celebrate our roots with a renewed commitment to Xbox, starting with console, which has shaped who we are. It connects us to the players and fans who invest in Xbox and to the developers who build ambitious experiences for it. Gaming now lives across devices, not within the limits of any single piece of hardware. As we expand across PC, mobile, and cloud, Xbox should feel seamless, instant, and worthy of the communities we serve. We will break down barriers so developers can build once and reach players everywhere without compromise, end quote. And finally, we get to that third commitment, the future of play. Here she says, quote, we are witnessing the reinvention of play. To meet the moment, we will invent new business models and new ways to play by leaning into what we already have, iconic teams, characters, and worlds that people love. But we will not treat those worlds as static IP to milk and monetize. We will build a shared platform and tools that empower developers and players to create and share their own stories. As monetization and AI evolve and influence this future, we will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. Games are and always will be art, crafted by humans and created with the most innovative technology provided by us. The next 25 years belong to the teams who dare to build something surprising, something no one else is willing to try, and have the patience to see it through. We have done this before, and I am here to help us do it again. I want to return to the renegade spirit that built Xbox in the first place. It will require us to relentlessly question everything, revisit processes, protect what works, and be brave enough to change what does not." End quote. Now is where we're going to get into kind of like my thoughts on all of this overall. First off, again, like I said, I really did not expect Phil Spencer to be leaving now. I thought it'd be later on, 25th anniversary at the end of that next year, something like that. Did not expect it now. And like I said, I thought Sarah Bond was going to be getting his position after he left. So I'm surprised that she's not, because she seemed like she was being primed and set up to take over his position. So although, everything on the surface kind of sort of seems like it's all copacetic and stuff, especially when you read Sarah Bond's message and how, she's like, yeah, this seemed like the right time for me to go. I don't know. I feel like there's more to this story as to why she specifically is leaving, why she is not getting the role. I'm curious as to what that behind the scenes story is. It kind of, if you want to get conspiracy theorists with it and really think maybe, oh, there's something sinister, you can read into, the fact that of all the statements that came out, only Phil Spencer is the only person who mentioned Sarah Bond in their statement. Matt Booty didn't, Satya Nadella did not. I don't believe Asha Sharma mentioned her either. So it's kind of a bit telling in a way, why didn't no one else talk about her? Why is Phil the only one who did? Maybe there's nothing more to it than just they didn't. Maybe there is no deeper, darker, sinister conspiracy behind it. I don't know. I'm just curious as to the behind the scenes story here. Why did she not get that position? Why was was it by her choice? I don't know. I'm curious about that. But looking more so at the Xbox brand now in relation to all this news, the brand has been in this state of flux for a long time now. It's no secret. Everyone knows it. Even the most diehard of Xbox fans have got to be aware that the brand has been in a weird place for a while now. And currently, it needs clear direction and leadership to get things back in order. That is just full stop 100% what the Xbox brand needs. So, when you think about it, consider that Xbox sales for a long time have not been good. According to journalist Chris Dring, who has his own platform, The Game Business, Xbox console sales in the UK were down 39% in 2025, making it the worst year on record for Xbox consoles. In the US, Xbox consoles had their worst November ever this past November in terms of dollar sales, with a 70% drop year over year. And this isn't too surprising when you consider that, one, the state of the US economy is just absolutely not great at all, but also the massive price hikes that were inflicted on Xbox Series hardware last September, where now the base Series X that released on day one, that released back in 2020, that Series X is now $650 as opposed to the $500 it once was, and the Series S is now $400 as opposed to the $300 it was when it first came out. So that is also, not going to lead to good November sales in the US for Xbox Series hardware. But then also, at the end of this past January, Microsoft released its Q2 2026 earnings, revealing that Xbox hardware revenue was down 32% year over year. And this is just the latest in a 2-year stretch of continuous declines in hardware revenue for Xbox. So, Xbox has just not been doing good, period, point blank. If you didn't think they were, now you should have a clear idea as to where they've been with that. And then Game Pass, its growth as well has also slowed down in recent years. So, and that's also not going to be helped by the recent changes to the service that came again this past year, where things were shifted around. Now day one releases are only in the highest tier, Game Pass Ultimate, and Game Pass Ultimate is now $30 instead of being just the $20 that it was. So it's it's things are very like not good in terms of where Xbox is for the hardware specifically, but the brand as well. So with all that context in mind, it makes sense when you really think about it why Satya Nadella would hire Asha Sharma for her position that she's in. In his statement that he put out, Satya Nadella said, quote, "Over the last 2 years at Microsoft and previously as Chief Operating Officer at Instacart and a Vice President at Meta, Asha has helped build and scale services that reach billions of people and support thriving consumer and developer ecosystems. She brings deep experience building and growing platforms, aligning business models to long-term value, and operating at global scale, which will be critical in leading our gaming business into its next era of growth," end quote. Now, to be clear, I am not a super in the know Xbox person when it comes to how they relate to Microsoft on the business side of things, the behind the scenes side of things. That is definitely a leader that more so towards people like your Jess Cordons from Windows Central, your Jason Schreiers, those people who are definitely highly in the know. Those people will definitely have a better perspective on it than I do. But from what, my perspective here, what he's saying makes sense with what, Xbox needs right now. Xbox needs to, I guess you could say, like pull itself up by its bootstraps, get itself back together, build its platform up, build up its ecosystem, build up its user base. I mean, we know that Xbox console sales, if what I said before isn't any indication, they are definitely trailing behind PlayStation this generation for sure. So if Xbox wants to kind of still really be a thing next generation or after next generation, it needs to do something. There needs to be some sort of change that allows it to grow its platform, grow its player base, grow its ecosystem, something. And the games industry as a whole isn't growing that much, if at all. So these are problems that are not exclusive to just Xbox, but because Xbox has been going through everything they have been in recent years, and they're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to the console race, so to speak, they are going to be feeling it the hardest. So in order for Xbox to grow, they need to stay afloat. So I get why Microsoft would want someone who has a proven track record of being able to provide that sort of growth when they are in the position that they're in, especially when they're also going to be going in a completely new direction, not just for the brand, but for the industry, as we've talked about before, and as it's well known, Xbox's next system is reportedly going to be this console PC hybrid of sorts. You can look at the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X for a bit of an indication as to what that might look like for what their next console is going to be from a user base, from a UI perspective. So if they're going to be doing something completely brand new, you're definitely going to want someone who can get people on board, get people in the door, and try and keep them there, and then get more people in the door for your radical new idea that you're going to be bringing to the table. Now, going back again to Miss Asha Sharma, no shade to her. I'm not putting too much stock in the statement that she put out. And this, again, no shade to her. It's purely because the statement, as all of the statements were, but her statement, it's the typical PR corporate introduction message that one would expect from these sort of things, where it's all about conveying positivity and optimism for the future and everything. And that is not to say that I don't believe she could be 100% genuine with the statement that she put out. She totally could be. I mean, she is saying the right things to the community and the industry at large, I guess, particularly when it comes to the games themselves and focusing on console. That latter part especially being one that the Xbox community has lamented for some time now, as they have felt that Microsoft and Xbox have focused less on the console and more on PC, cloud, mobile, as they tried to expand to just beyond the console. So her saying those things, it's saying the right things, and she could very well mean them all. She could all mean everything she's saying being 100% genuine and authentic. And I would love for her to succeed in the role, because if Asha Sharma succeeds in the role, then that means Xbox is succeeding as well. But although I'm saying that, I caution everyone from taking her statement at face value and just going, she gets it. Yeah, she's saying the right thing. She got it. I have my wholehearted faith in her. I got it. Yeah, she's gonna be the savior of Xbox. Yes, I like her. Let's pump the brakes on that. Yes, today, Saturday, February 21st, she was on Twitter talking with people in the community, trying to endear herself to the people, which is always cool. But, couple things about that. One, people were definitely trying to use her lack of gaming industry experience as a knock against her. People understand, remember Reggie Fils-Aimé? Remember that guy who we all love from Nintendo of America? Remember, he did not come from the game industry before he was the top dog at Nintendo of America, and he is beloved. So let's pump the brakes on that, please and thank you. Two, although again, she was talking to people in the community on Twitter, that's cool and all. I hope she is quickly educated on who she should be avoiding online. There are a lot of people on Twitter specifically she should avoid talking to, avoid interacting with, avoid taking any sort of feedback from, because they are terrible, terrible people. If you know, you know, okay? If you are aware of who I'm talking about in this conversation right now, you know. I'm not going to be naming names, but if you know, you know. And I also do hope that people in the community don't form these weird parasocial relationships with her like they did with prior leadership. And this is a thing that I kind of find to be somewhat exclusive to Xbox leadership. This could be because Xbox leadership is more vocal. They are more public facing than PlayStation and Nintendo's leadership, even though PlayStation's leadership in the past has been, somewhat forward facing and public facing. In recent years, less so. Microsoft's leadership at Xbox always has been. So that always leads people, be like, Phil. It's like, it's cool and stuff, but at the same time, it kind of causes this weird divide where when they have to break bad news, people are like, how could you do this? You betrayed me. You betrayed my trust. And it's just like, remember guys, they are executives running a business. They are not your friends. So although Asha is doing this and she's being very public facing, which is good, it's fine, understand she's still an executive at a business running a business. She's running the company. She is not your friend, okay? Today someone on Twitter had asked her, posted this law message basically saying, hey, make Xbox first party games true exclusives again. Don't let them be multi-platform anymore. And she responded saying, hear you. People, do not take that to mean she's going to do that. Do not take that as confirmation of anything. In fact, it would be foolish to believe that we are putting that genie back in the bottle. It'd be very foolish to think that for many reasons. I'm not getting into them in this video though. With all that said though, with how Xbox has been trending in recent years, I do have some thoughts and concerns about what new changes could come with this new leadership regime that we have here. Number one, what is going to be happening to Game Pass? I mean, it is important to Xbox's current business and vision for the future, so I don't imagine that it will be totally tossed out the door or completely upended and stuff, but is it going to become more altered than it already is? That is one question that I have. I would be surprised, absolutely surprised if they say, yeah, Game Pass is no longer a thing. We need to increase our revenue sales for our games, so you have to buy your games now. I'd be shocked about that. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think, making the day one releases in Ultimate only was kind of like the mitigation factor to try and bump up the revenue sales for games on day one, on launch. I doubt there are going to be any new changes that will come to the new console at this stage of the game, because I imagine much of that is already locked in place, but I do wonder if there will be any. We'll talk about one in a moment. Going back to Matt Booty, he said that there aren't any changes happening right now at the current studios, but what about 6 to 12 months from now? Will there be studio closures? Will there be crazy mass layoffs, because of this new change in terms of the leadership? It's anyone's guess, so we gotta wait and see what happens there. And then there's also the AI concern that you gotta have regarding game development and hardware development, considering Ms. Sharma's prior AI experience at Microsoft and how heavily Microsoft has been going in regards to AI over the past couple months, year plus. So there's a lot of concerns there. Now, going back to that, the next console, changing things up, I do want to pull back a point that I mentioned when reading one of Ms. Sharma's quotes about the future, of gaming, like one of her 3 commitments. This quote here, she said, quote, "We will build a shared platform and tools that empower developers and players to create and share their own stories," end quote. What does that entail? That quote stuck out to me. Like, what does that entail? Because to me, that says that they want to have their platform. They want them to build a platform, be that on the Xbox console or just with the Xbox brand. They want it to be a thing where developers aren't the only ones who are able to make games and put out games. They want players to be able to get in on that too with Xbox, through Xbox. And is that something that they'll be able to do with the next console? I mean, it would make sense, especially if the next system is basically going to be a PC. Rumors and speculation have basically said that the next Xbox is going to essentially be a PC that has Xbox running on the top of it all. So again, you look at the ROG Xbox Ally and Ally X devices, you have the Xbox experience on the front of it all, but you could jump out of that at any point in time, and then you have your basic Windows PC experience underneath it. The rumors saying for the new console is that's basically going to be the case for the new console, and you can run PC apps and all kinds of things on this new Xbox. So if that is the case, and if they are going to try and build a platform where players can also create and share their own stories, does that mean, are they going to have some sort of service or pipeline in place where a person can make their own game on their Xbox, and then through a specific channel on the Xbox console itself, whatever this new Xbox console, new Xbox platform brand is, through a specific channel on that, you can publish your own games. You can, put them out on the Xbox store. Maybe there is they have a section on it called, the player's voice or player-made games or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, they're the ones that have to figure this out. But perhaps this is what they're going to be doing with their next console to further open the doors and expand what it means to be a player in Xbox. You're not just a player of AAA high-end games from seasoned developers, but you're also a player of games from fresh new voices in the industry. Perhaps this could be a way in which someone just makes a game in their home in their spare time on their Xbox. They put it out, and maybe you could partner with Xbox. Maybe Xbox will have some sort of even a slower scaled sort of ID and Xbox program for these types of people. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe this is something that they're going to be doing. We will have to wait and see. At the end of the day, regardless of what you thought of Phil Spencer and the previous Xbox leadership, we can all agree that they did care about the industry and the Xbox brand. I don't think that can be disputed. It was very clear, no matter how much you might have thought that Phil was a snake oil salesman or a car salesman or whatever the case may be. Him and Sarah Bond, they definitely cared. It showed in how they spoke about games and what they wanted for the games industry. So their loss is definitely going to be felt for sure. That said, new leadership could be exactly what the brand needs to save it in time for the next generation, either by adopting a new plan and or vision for the future, or by bringing, just as Sarah Bond said, fresh eyes to the current one and helping execute it on a higher level. This new leadership could also just let the brand continue to falter and transform into whatever Microsoft wants it to be, but not what the industry and fans want it to be. Right now, all we can say is that only time will tell, and as annoying as it is to repeatedly say this about Xbox, we can only hope for the best. all that said, this has been a long video, a lot to talk about here. That's my thoughts on this entire situation. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have watched this entire video and made it this far in, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to our channel if you have not already, and leave a comment down below letting me know all your thoughts on this absolutely wild situation and what you think it means for the future of Xbox. Let's have a conversation down there, and hit the notification bell, that way you know as soon as new videos go live. My name is Tyler, this has been The Comfy Spot, and we will talk next time. Have a good one.